First of all, I want to welcome you to the HyFlex teaching demonstration. I'm glad so many people are here this morning, and I'm happy to see quite a few names that I recognize. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Gamin Bartle. I'm the Director of Instruction and Research Technology here at William Paterson, and I'm going to be here to talk about HyFlex teaching today. I'm not sure if the provost was able to make it. Well, on his behalf, I'd like to welcome you to this presentation. He asked me to do this as you make your decision whether you're going to teach with a HyFlex model or not. I am in a classroom in Preakness, I forget which number, and so I'm using the setup that you would be using to teach in the HyFlex mode. You are all students. You're seeing exactly what the students would see, the remote students, and I also have a bunch of empty chairs here in the classroom that represent the in-person students. So before anything else, we're going to go over what the description is for HyFlex teaching. The instructor has one on-campus session every week with up to 50% of the students in person in the classroom, and the rest are watching remotely from their computers wherever they are. We're using this new webcam technology. We have a webcam in every classroom on the main campus and at Valley Road. So these are available for you in every classroom that has a podium and a PC. For other instructional spaces, we're going to try to make allowances to have remote webcasting from those as well. The rest of your course will be taught online. So the camera that we're using is called a HoverCam Solo 8 Plus. And as you can see from these pictures, it's very flexible. You can put it all the way up. The arm articulates to be straight up or down 90 degrees to show documents. In fact, this was originally made as a document camera, but it's got the camera and a microphone built in, and that's what I'm using to speak with you this morning. This is the podium setup. You can see the camera is kind of inobtrusive over on the left because when it's folded down, it's much smaller footprint, and you can see that it's available right next to the PC and the control panel. One thing to keep in mind is that this camera is actually a peripheral to the computer. So you don't need to choose it from the Crestron control panel. What you need to choose is PC. And that way you'll be displaying everything that's on the camera. So that's what I've done this morning as well. A quick tutorial on the base controls. The buttons to control this camera are located at the bottom, and this is what they look like. One of the most important ones, or maybe the most important one, is here in the center. This is the 180-degree rotation button. And when it's in document camera mode, the rotation is actually like this. So you may be upside down when you first log in. So this may not be how you want to teach your students. You might want to go ahead and be right side up. So I'm going to touch that button in the middle to make myself right side up. If you choose to use the document camera during your class, which you certainly can do, you do need to touch that button again so that your document will be right side up. The other buttons are zoom in and zoom out. If you're teaching to this camera using it as a webcam, you may not need to use those buttons. They're used more in the document camera mode. On the left-hand side, you have autofocus and autofocus lock. And the best way to practice with those is go ahead and hit one to focus on yourself, hit the autofocus button, and then if you're happy with the way you're focused, then you hit the autofocus lock. But you'll see kind of how those work. And speaking of practice, I definitely encourage you to practice with this setup before going live with the class. It's really easy to get used to, but I think you'll want to practice with it beforehand. And I will be giving you opportunities to learn how to use this equipment on August 20th and 21st by appointment. So I'll be in a classroom, probably this one here in Preakness Hall, to show you exactly how to use the camera in case you'd like to practice before your classes begin. This will be socially distanced. I will step away so that you can touch the camera and use the controls and make sure it's working for you. And I'll be cleaning off everything in between each person. So this will be by appointment, and I will send an announcement about that closer to the time that these appointments will be available. But they will be August 20th and 21st, so the last working days before classes start on the 24th. The original use, as I said, for this camera is as a document camera, so I will show you that. I'm going to, well, you'll see it in my little screen. You can also have it full screen. So I adjust the camera down to point at my notebook, and I touch that 180 flip, And I try to straighten it up a little bit. Now this should make it so that you're writing the correct direction, so please tell me if this does not work. Are you able to read what I just wrote? Don't be shy.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that, what happens if you don't hit the 180 button is it looks like this. And that's backwards.
How do you make that to be the big part of your screen rather than a tiny little square?
You would stop sharing the PowerPoint. So if I stop share, it should appear as a larger, can you see it now?
No, it still appears as a tiny one.
Yes.
Maybe you have to put the speaker mode instead of the gallery mode in Zoom.
Right, try
I
that.
think you need to right click on your square and hit highlight. You can highlight your own square.
Right, because if I go on speaker mode, as soon as somebody speaks, it goes away, and that doesn't work for students.
Right, so what we're going to recommend, this is one of the things that's the part of the thing to get used to. I have it backwards, don't I?
Yeah, and you could also pin it, so if you pin it, it won't change when someone speaks.
Yes, if you pin, you can pin that using the 3 buttons. So I've pinned it, so I have unpinned video. Okay, it's something that you'll want to do, I would say the first time you teach using this, you're going to want to go through experimenting with your students, making sure that they are clear on how to see what's on the screen, make sure they know how to pin and unpin. And I would recommend during class to go ahead and have them mute their microphones until they're ready, until they want to speak. And so that way that it won't change that often. Okay, I'm going to
ask, how would we do this for the students in the classroom to see this?
So it's projected on the screen. I'm going to go back up to me and make myself right side up. It's projected on the screen, and I have a picture of that set up in the PowerPoint, which I'll show you shortly. One thing you do need to remember, and I'm having a little bit of back and forth with this, is to look directly at the camera. As you saw in the picture, it's not, here we go. It's not where the screen is, so you kind of will want to look at the screen, but the important thing is when you're speaking, you want to be speaking to the students in the classroom, which are right behind the camera, and also to your remote students. So you need to look at the camera to speak. Now you should have my PowerPoint again. Okay, and this will be talking about kind of what we've already been doing. I don't know if I'm cut off. Here we go. So the HoverCam as a webcam and microphone, this will probably be the mode that you'll be using the most when you're teaching in the HyFlex method. I think it's great for the students to be able to see your face, and they can pin you or not, depending on what they'd like to see. If you do have a PowerPoint, that will take up most of the screen. And this is yet another thing to get used to, is your students will be along the side, and you won't be able to see all of them at once. So you can scroll through and see if anyone needs to is raising their hand. What I recommend is just as in this presentation, go ahead and just unmute yourself and ask your question while I'm talking, because that way I'll know you want to speak. There's a lot of resources to learn more about the actual HoverCam. There's a page on the IT Wiki that I'm linked to here, and there's also a page from the HoverCam company that has a lot of videos to show you how to use the webcam. So what kind of questions do you have already?
I would ask, is there a way to project sounds into Zoom from the PC directly? If you're doing it this way, so if you're trying to use music or something like that in the classroom, can you project it to both at the same time using through this? Is the mic set up for that?
Yes, so what I'm using today to project is Zoom, and you can share any screen that you have open. So keep in mind, if you have, are you talking about from a website or from where?
I'm saying just playing a sound file, so maybe play a wave through, say, Audacity.
Yes, you can do that. You need to share the Audacity screen and choose, in the bottom of Zoom, there's a little, if you're using Zoom, In the bottom of it, there is a box to click that says Share Computer Audio, and that way that will be shared.
Will it double up through the Solo 8, or will it only do the one?
That is an excellent question, and I am not sure, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Who is this speaking?
Mike Gordon.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I'm good. So I don't know the answer to that question. So you've stumped me already. I appreciate that, and I will get back to you on, you're asking whether it will be through the microphone and through the computer.
Right, so obviously that would create feedback and some other problems. If we're projecting both into the room and by something else onto the Zoom that they might hear about.
Right, totally get that. There's going to have to be a way to practice that. This is another good reason for you to practice.
Can you do a test? Like YouTube video and see if it feeds back?
Right, we can do a test of that right now if you'd like. Would that be helpful for others too?
Yes.
Okay, let me stop share. I will go to the internet. I have a helper in the back. Mike Milling is helping me in the back and also recording this in case anybody wants to recommend to a teacher, to another teacher, if they want to see it. So YouTube.
It's your favorite.
Okay, we have to
family
listen to
tradition
the ad.
to drive to that familiar.
Can you
beach
hear that?
house
Can you
with
hear
familiar
the audio?
faces, and
Yes.
make the new
Okay,
normal
so this has
feel
already answered our
more like the old
question.
normal. Book the home that makes the vacation with.
But I think we're hearing the audio from the room, not the computer.
Okay, so how does it sound?
It sounds like it's in the background, Gamin.
Okay, so let me share it through the screen. Now, are you able to hear it better?
Yes, we can hear and see it.
Yes, that's perfectly clear, and I think I could actually like share a video clip.
Yes, that should work for video and audio, and it's not being picked up by the microphone, so I think that's our answer. It seems to work okay. So now we know. That's an excellent question. Thank you, Mike.
So, Gamin, I have a follow-up on this point right here. So, if I'm a student in the classroom, is there a way for you to be the video and audio in the classroom and to the students on Zoom at the same time, or is it one or the other?
Say that one more time.
So you were just showing us something from the internet with audio and visual via Zoom.
Yes.
Could you also be displaying that on the screen in the classroom at the same time?
Yes, it will be displayed. Anything, oops, we're going dark. It will also be displayed on the front projector screen. And I have a setup of that. I'm not sure which slide. This is what it will look like to the students in person. So you see the PowerPoint here, and whatever you're displaying, whatever you've shared will be here. It'll be large on the screen, and then across the bottom you see the small boxes for the Zoom people. Does that answer your question?
Yes, perfect, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, so I have a few thoughts about when you start up your class, just to have it right in the right order. And that is, when you first come in the classroom, you're going to want to start up the Crestron system, get the projector going, so that you do have it displayed for your in-class students. Secondly, you want to start your Blackboard Collaborate Ultra or Zoom or WebEx or Teams. You can use any video conferencing platform that you wish. The reason is, it doesn't have to, it's just agnostic. This is a regular web camera and microphone, and as I mentioned before, it's a peripheral to the computer. This is the default webcam and microphone for all the machines in the classrooms. So you shouldn't have to switch it. This is just already set up as a default. So you start up your video session. Then you share the screen with a PowerPoint or whatever it is you're going to be showing, and you can easily switch. It just takes a moment. You stop sharing and then go pick your other screen. One important thing to remember is you do have to have that window open on your computer before you can share it. So open up everything that you're going to want to have open beforehand. Then you're going to share your screen in Collaborator Zoom or whatever you're using. And finally, once again, remember to look directly at the camera if you want to speak directly to your students. And again, this will be much easier when you have live students in the classroom, and you'll remember that you do want to look at them, and then also you'll be looking directly at your remote students.
Then you may want to focus again, or out of focus.
Am I out of focus? I'm feeling a little unfocused. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
great, thank you. So this is what it looks like, as I said, to your students in the classroom.
Hi, Gamin. Can we just ask questions as you go, or should we wait?
No, go right ahead.
So, just a question. When you step away from the camera, you said speak directly into the camera. Say you go to the board to write something on it. How much does that microphone pick up as you walk away from it? Like, what is the range of it?
The range is bigger than we thought, actually. We thought it would be about 6 feet, but it's actually bigger. And in a test I did more recently, I was able to pick up someone speaking from the back of the room if they spoke up. So that was really good. I was
So
a
you can
little.
walk over to that whiteboard and write something on it on the other side of that projector screen and come back, and your audio will still be picked up.
So here's the problem writing on the whiteboard. Remember I showed you the reverse?
Yeah.
Can you read what I've written here on the whiteboard?
HyFlex something.
Yes.
Demonstration item.
Yes, but it's backwards, correct?
No, I'm reading it in that little box on the top right of my screen, not on the big screen. The big screen is a frozen picture of you with the hover cam
Yes,
as a webcam
correct.
and microphone.
Okay. So the writing on the board is in the right direction?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So you can use a small piece of the whiteboard, only where the camera is pointing. So that's going to kind of limit a little bit of your whiteboard space. So the next thing I was going to show you is Whiteboard in Zoom, which will be easier. Your students in person will be able to see it on the projection screen, and your remote students will be able to see it on their screens as well.
Okay. And by the way, you would do all this with a mask on, so that would muffle your voice. Right now, you're not wearing a mask, right?
Oh, that's true. I can put my mask on.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that that's the actual thing we do, right?
Right, I think you will be required to. Is that correct?
I hope so. I expect so.
I assume so too. Let me put my mask on and see if you can still.
Yes.
Okay. Let me put mine on. Let's see if you can still hear me. I know I have a bow sticking out of my head now. Okay, can you still understand me?
Yes, it's surprisingly well.
Okay, good. So this microphone really is quite good. And I think you'll find that once you get used to the presenting, it's really easy to use as well.
Is it possible to follow up on that, to connect it to a remote microphone, like a pinned-on microphone, if you had a larger space that you wanted to move through, or if you wanted to bring the mic to people in other parts of the room?
So the auditorium spaces are outfitted with wireless mics. The in-class computers are not yet set up for that, but we are working on something like that if someone's soft-spoken and would like to do that. I'm not sure about getting the microphone, sorry. I'm not sure about getting the microphone out to the students. We may have one that's attached to the computer, but we are working on a solution to be able to amplify your voice.
So, and that would be integrated within this system, or would it be an external that you start up and then have another window open on the PC that would allow this to sort of stream into the Zoom call?
That I'm not sure yet. We could change it to the default microphone, or you could change it when you set it up. These will not be in every classroom. They'll have to be picked up at lending services in the library, because we won't have enough to cover every classroom.
Okay, great.
So we're still testing that. And by the time I do the hands-on demos, we will have those available. I'll bring a couple of those for people to try out. So hopefully that works for you. Okay, I'm going to take off my mask again.
Put that in the paper bag and then into one of the lab bags.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, into one of the paper bags.
I couldn't hear what was just said. Is that a question?
It it was background noise.
Okay, all right. So let me show you briefly the Zoom whiteboard and to share the screen, how to share the screen. You hit share screen in Zoom and you will get a little thumbnails of each program, each thing that you have open on the desktop, and you can choose whiteboard. And then it gives you a typical electronic whiteboard. It gives you all the tools. You can type, which is nice if your handwriting isn't the best, as mine isn't on the board. You can draw. You can do things like spotlight and stamp. This is just a screenshot, so I'm not showing you exactly how it works, but you can undo and redo. You can clear the board. You can also save it if you wish to share things that you've written on this whiteboard with your students as an image. So we really recommend that you use the whiteboard in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra or in Zoom or in WebEx if you happen to use WebEx. The whiteboard is your friend because writing on the board in the classroom only gives you limited space. Okay, that's what I've got. What other questions do you have?
Gamin, I have a question about the possibility of closed captions using Zoom. Is there a way to do that while we're live streaming, or is it only after that we can add that?
It's really only after the fact, unless you can get someone to type at the same time, which is really difficult. The only way to have live closed captioning is to assign someone to type while you're speaking. And so unfortunately, that's not a really good option. The one program that we have that does live closed captioning, and of course it's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job, is Microsoft Teams, which you can also web conference from. And so whichever one that you'd like to practice when you come in person, if you choose the HyFlex model, we can practice that when you're here in person.
Hi, Gamin. I had a question about what students who are in the classroom see on the screen. They see our PC screen, so that would be whoever is visible in Zoom for students that are coming in remotely, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
There's no way for students who are Zooming into the class to see the students in the room, right? It's just a one-way thing.
It's one way unless you turn the camera around, which I don't think I showed you. This camera happens to be in a good spot in the classroom, and you can see the classroom. You can see Mike Milling back there working to record my presentation today.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. What other questions do you have?
I have a question, or Gamin, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When you first start up the system on the little box, what do you set it to so that this camera, the HyFlex camera, is the one that is going? Do you know how they have several options like PC, webcam,
Yep, you choose Podium PC because it's plugged straight into the computer at the podium. Now, if you bring your laptop, you're not going to be able to use the HyFlex with it because this is plugged into the podium behind the locked case. So you will want to use the Podium PC for this option.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
Any other questions?
Can you please tell me again how you get into the whiteboard?
Yes, sure. So there's a share screen option in Zoom if you're using Zoom. When you click on share screen, it's going to give you a thumbnail of everything you have open. See it right there? Whiteboard.
Yes. Okay. I've never used it, but I've seen it. Yes, thank you.
Well, practice makes perfect, so everybody should practice.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I have a question about, sorry. The microphone, how good would it pick what the students are saying? Because if I'm in class, the students in class, how well would they be heard by the students in Zoom?
You want me to give it a shot? Can you hear me?
Yep, let's see if we can hear Mike. Go ahead and speak right up.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Everybody clear? I'm in the back of the room.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Great. They will have to speak up. They can't just mumble, especially if they're speaking a foreign language. I'm not sure if it's you, Sarah.
Yeah. They always mumble, but
Yep.
at least they can.
And they will be able to hear their remote colleagues or their remote peers through the computer system as they speak. Just like I can hear you right now, they'll come through the speakers in the classroom. I'm happy to answer any more questions. Someone's got some background noise going. If you want to mute your...
I have a question regarding computer labs. If we are in a computer lab, what do you recommend we have the students do on their own screens? Do they zoom in? Do they just look at our screen?
It's really up to them. I would suggest they just look at your screen so that they're not kind of double distracted. That they would just participate in the class, like, unless you have them doing something specific on the computers.
Gamin, this is Josh Powers. Can I just quickly just say, first of all, thank you so much for doing this workshop and the one last week. What a great opportunity to see some new technology, to understand its nuances, and then the wonderful way in which you provided insights about it. And colleagues, thanks all to you as you're reflecting on the different options and the possibilities for this fall. And with many things to think about and reflect upon, but I hope that this workshop gave you some other insights that you might not have otherwise had. So thank you.
Great.
Hey, Gamin, 2 quick questions.
Sure.
One, I have a colleague asking if this is the same presentation you gave last week, and 2, where these recordings will be posted.
This is the same as last week, and I will post the recordings on the IRT website.
Great, thanks.
Sure. If you think of a question later on, you're welcome to write me an email. Happy to answer anything else that if you might think of something later, and I wish you luck as you decide which mode to teach in this semester. We'll help you in any way we can. And I will be, well, someone will announce, might be Provost Powers, or I will announce our workshop schedule a little bit later this week. We're working on that right now, and we will be teaching on quality assurance. That has to do with quality matters in online and hybrid teaching. We will also be teaching about hybrid teaching itself, and there will be a workshop on Zoom, and I will do more of these as well if people miss them and they do choose the HyFlex option.
And I just thought of a question.
Yes.
What if you're using the small group rooms in Zoom, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Can the student via this join one of the rooms?
The student, I would recommend then that they join using their laptop.
The students
in the classroom.
Students at home.
The students at home, yes, you can do the small groups in Zoom and then maybe do in-person small groups.
And then, but so they wouldn't be using this technology then, they'd just be using Zoom?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, well, thank you all so much for coming this morning. I hope you learned something about HyFlex, our HyFlex setup here in the classrooms. And again, please email me if you have any questions. And if you choose this option, make sure to make an appointment with me to come in and do a hands-on training. So thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.